Has the Buffalo Bills secondary really been that bad? Well, when you break it down player by player, it's hard to argue otherwise. The eye test and the tape don't lie. And through 5 weeks, the group hasn't come close to matching the expectations placed on them. Outside of Cole Bishop, who has quietly been a pleasant surprise, the rest of the unit has fallen short. That's not just fan frustration. It's what the film shows, and it's a problem that needs to be addressed if the Bills want to make a serious run this year. Starting with Taylor Rapp. This is a player whose reputation was built on physicality and elite tackling ability. That part of his game has seemingly evaporated. Missed tackles, bad angles, and a noticeable lack of aggression have become regular occurrences. He's not flying downhill the way he used to, and in coverage, there's been a clear hesitation in his reactions. The speed and instincts that defined his early career just haven't shown up so far in Buffalo. For a defense that's already dealing with enough instability, Rapp's underwhelming play is making things harder. Now, Cole Bishop is a different story. The rookie has taken real strides. He's showing confidence, downhill explosiveness, and even came up with that highlight reel interception against the Saints. He looks like someone figuring out quickly, someone whose presence doesn't just hold up but actually helps stabilize things. It's rare to say this about a young safety, but Bishop might be the most consistently solid player in that secondary right now, and that says as much about the rest of the group as it does about him. Then there's Tre'Davious White, and this one is tough because you can tell he knows where to be and how to play. The issue isn't his football IQ or effort, it's physical limitation. His athleticism just isn't there anymore. You can see him stay in phase, keep leverage, and then not close. Not trigger. Not make the same kinds of plays he used to. This isn't a case of poor effort or regression from a mental standpoint. It's what age and injuries do to a cornerback who was never a top-tier athlete to begin with. He's become more of a depth-level player being forced into a starting role, and while he's giving everything he's got, he's clearly outmatched in certain matchups. Against the league's elite receivers, that's a real liability. Christian Benford, on the other hand, is a major disappointment. This was supposed to be his breakout year. The first 2 seasons showed promise, technically sound, strong against the run, smart in zone. But he hasn't delivered. The run defense is still solid. That part of his game holds up, but in coverage, the drop-off is undeniable. What's worse is that Benford seems to be the kind of player who thrives within structure. When the rest of the unit is in sync, he shines. When things break down around him, his own flaws get magnified. And right now, with the back 7 out of rhythm, Benford's game is suffering. Taron Johnson, another veteran piece, hasn't lived up to expectations either. Whether it's coverage or tackling, something feels off. The Bills have experimented with more base defense. 20 snaps in the last game, which suggests that even the coaching staff sees the need to adjust his usage. There was a time not long ago when Johnson was considered indispensable in the slot. Right now, that's not the case. He's not making the splash plays that once balanced out the occasional coverage lapse. Instead, you're just seeing the lapses. So when you step back and look at the group as a whole, what do you get? A safety tandem that's underperforming. A veteran corner in White doing his best, but clearly limited. A young corner in Benford struggling to find his footing. And a nickel corner in Johnson who hasn't looked sharp. The only consistent piece has been Cole Bishop, a rookie. That's a brutal reality for a team that came into the season expecting its defense to be a top 5 unit. Now, here's the strange part. The advanced metrics tell a slightly different story. The Bills are ranked 11th in EPA per pass and 5th in fewest yards per pass attempt. Statistically, they're not a disaster. In fact, on paper, they're pretty solid. But that's the paradox. The unit feels worse than the numbers suggest. And maybe that's because expectations were sky high. Or maybe it's because we're judging the plays that aren't being made, the missed tackles, the lack of big moments, the busted coverages that don't always show up in aggregate stats, but loom large in real time. There's also the context of what this team was supposed to be. With Josh Allen leading the offense, the defense doesn't have to be perfect, but it does need to be reliable. And right now, that reliability just isn't there in the secondary. Some of that comes down to injuries. Some of it comes down to personnel not performing. But whatever the cause, the effect is clear. This secondary is not holding up. The conversation gets even trickier when you look at the potential solutions. Fans are already buzzing about Maxwell Harrison, the first-round rookie who has yet to see the field due to injury. The hope is that he'll come in and inject some life into the cornerback group. But let's be real. This is a guy who hasn't practiced since late July. No training camp, no preseason, no in-season reps. And the coaches have already acknowledged that just getting him physically ready is a challenge, let alone mentally prepare to play NFL football at full speed. You don't throw a guy like that straight into a starting role without risk. Best case scenario, you platoon him, ease him in, get him series here and there until you're confident he can handle more. And that's assuming he stays healthy and catches up quickly, which is no guarantee. So the idea that Harrison is going to suddenly fix everything in the secondary, that's more hope than plan. The Bills might get better in time, but they'll need to do it with the group they have, or look to outside help. That's where the trade deadline chatter starts to heat up. There's a clear need at both safety and cornerback, and while the front office hasn't been shy in the past about making moves, it's going to come down to availability and fit. Could someone like Stephon Gilmore be an option? Maybe. He's old, but he still brings a physical presence, and he's got playoff experience. Greg Newsome in Cleveland? Sure, but there's contract baggage that comes with that. Even at safety, someone like Xavier Woods could bring more consistency than what Rapp's offering right now. The names are out there. It's a matter of whether Brandon Beane decides to pull the trigger, and whether this staff believes help needs to come from outside or from within. In the meantime, this defense has to find a way to stabilize. Because no matter how good Josh Allen is, he can't do it alone. This isn't a team built to win shootouts every week. They need stops, they need turnovers, and they need a secondary that can at least play to its level on paper. So far, that hasn't happened. And unless something changes fast, the cracks in this unit are going to show up in bigger moments against better opponents. That's where coaching comes in. Bobby Babich has become a lightning rod for criticism as the defensive coordinator, and it's fair to ask questions. 1 full year, and now 5 games into his tenure. The results have been uneven. Injuries have certainly played a role, but the disjointed feel of this unit, the lack of chemistry, the missed assignments, the lack of cohesion, that goes beyond just bad luck. There's real concern about whether this defense is being put in the right positions to succeed, and whether Babich is the guy to pull it all together. The conversation around the Bills' defense doesn't stop with the secondary, because even if that group are performing better, there are larger issues in play that can't be ignored. This is a unit that feels, in one word, disjointed. That term has been thrown around a lot lately, but it's not just a lazy critique. It captures the vibe of a defense that's never fully in sync, whether it's miscommunications in coverage, gaps in run fits, or just general inconsistency from one week to the next. You never quite know which version of this group is going to show up. And when that kind of unpredictability defines your defense, it's a recipe for long-term trouble. So where does the disjointed feeling come from? Part of it is the rotating cast of characters. Injuries have completely disrupted the lineup. Ed Oliver's been in and out. Dorian Williams has a knee issue. Daquan Jones and Matt Milano have missed time, and we just got word that Dorian Strong's neck injury might be more serious than anyone hoped. When guys are constantly shuffling in and out of the lineup, chemistry suffers. That's unavoidable, but it also puts more pressure on the coaching staff to keep the structure intact. And that's where the doubts about Bobby Babich start creeping in again. Can he manage the chaos? Can he build cohesion out of the churn? It's hard to say yes at this point. While you can acknowledge the challenge of working with an incomplete deck, you also want to see signs of growth, adjustments, adaptations, smart game planning. The NFL isn't a place where you get to press pause and wait until everyone's healthy. You have to scheme your way through adversity. And so far, that's been inconsistent at best for the Bills. Let's not forget this team has gone through stretches like this before, moments where the defense looked shaky and then pulled it together. But this time feels a little different. There's a sense that the defense isn't just struggling, it's regressing in some areas. Linebacker play, for example, has been spotty, even when Milano was healthy. Terrell Bernard has shown flashes, but also looked overwhelmed at times, particularly against the run. And with backups now seeing significant snaps, the middle of the field has become a vulnerability that opposing offenses are targeting more and more. That puts even more strain on the secondary. Safeties and corners are being asked to cover for longer, help in a run, support zone coverages that aren't as tight as they need to be. When every part of the defense is a step off, the whole thing starts to wobble. And that's where this team finds itself right now, wobbling. Not falling apart, not collapsing, but definitely not stable. You can sense the frustration building among the fans, and rightly so. This is a team with Super Bowl expectations, and the defense isn't holding up its end of the bargain. And it's not just about results, it's about how they're getting there. When a team loses and it looks like the other guys just made a few more plays, that's one thing. But when the losses come from self-inflicted wounds, missed tackles, busted coverages, and a general lack of urgency, it stings more. Because those are controllable things. So what do the Bills do now? Well, some of it is just about surviving until reinforcements arrive. There's hope that guys like Ed Oliver, Larry Ogunjobi, and even Maxwell Harrison can return and help stabilize things. But none of those players are silver bullets. The answers have to start from within. Better coaching, more accountability, and a renewed commitment to physical, disciplined football. Because no matter how talented this roster is on paper, games aren't played on paper. They're played on grass and turf, and the margin for error in the AFC is razor thin. Take the recent loss to the Patriots, for example. It wasn't just a bad loss, it was a weird one. Sloppy, full of strange decisions and uncharacteristic mistakes. And that's what makes it so hard to process. It wasn't the usual suspects. It wasn't a game where the Bills got overpowered or outcoached for 4 quarters. It was a game full of oddities, weird execution, flat energy, bad timing. And when you stack that on top of the general instability on defense, you get a fan base that's rightfully asking tough questions. One of those questions is whether the Bills should make a move at the trade deadline. There are legitimate holes to fill. Cornerback, for one, could absolutely use an upgrade, especially if the plan is to phase Trey White into more of a rotational or depth role. Safety, too, is wide open for help. Taylor Rapp hasn't proven to be a reliable solution, and while Cole Bishop is developing nicely, you can't hang the entire back end of the defense on a rookie. The names being floated aren't fantasy football pipe dreams. These are real options. Veteran corners like Stephon Gilmore, who's still capable of playing press man and brings leadership. Or maybe a guy like Greg Newsome, though his contract situation complicates things. Even at safety, someone like Xavier Woods could give you a more dependable presence than what you currently have. The pieces are out there. It's just a question of whether the front office decides the time is now to go all in on a defensive reinforcement. But this isn't just about talent acquisition. There's a bigger message here, and it's something that needs to be heard throughout the fan base. The NFL is not a linear game. Even great teams lose games. Even great players have bad stretches. And just because the Bills are facing some adversity doesn't mean the sky is falling. This is still a team loaded with talent, with one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and a head coach who's proven he can lead through difficult stretches. Panic helps no one. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the NFL, sources close to the league suggest that veteran wide receiver Keenan Allen has left the Los Angeles Chargers and is reportedly set to don the colors of the Buffalo Bills. While nothing has been officially confirmed, insiders are whispering about the potential blockbuster that could reshape both teams' offensive dynamics. Allen, long celebrated as one of the most reliable hands in the league, has been a cornerstone for the Chargers, dazzling fans with his precise route running and uncanny ability to make contested catches. Yet, despite his contributions, the rumor mill is buzzing with speculation that Allen's relationship with the Chargers may have soured behind the scenes, leading to this dramatic exit. The Bills, known for their high-octane offense led by quarterback Josh Allen, are reportedly eyeing Keenan as the missing piece to elevate their passing game to another level. Sources hint that Buffalo's front office has been quietly courting Allen for weeks, with plans to slot him into a role that could stretch defenses and create more space for their already dynamic playmakers. If the deal materializes, it could instantly make the Bills' aerial attack one of the most feared in the league, combining speed, precision, and experience in a deadly package. Fans of the Chargers are already reacting with a mix of disbelief and concern. Losing a player of Allen's caliber would not only leave a void on the field, but also challenge the team's locker room dynamics and leadership. Meanwhile, Bills supporters are imagining the possibilities. Keenan Allen lining up alongside Stephon Diggs, creating mismatches that could haunt defenses all season long. While the NFL is no stranger to late-season drama, this rumor has the potential to dominate headlines if it proves true. Speculation continues to swirl. Is this a player-driven move seeking a fresh start, or part of a larger strategic shakeup orchestrated by the Bills management? Either way, the football world is watching closely, knowing that if Allen indeed trades Chargers powder for Bills blue, the ripple effects could redefine the upcoming season. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.